Hi everyone, we are Nicolás, José, Álvaro, Nicolás and Jaime. In this short video, we will try to recommend some policies to the President of the Community of Madrid, mainly from an economic point of view, in the hypothetical case of a new COVID variant. The COVID-19 crisis, like other previous world economic crises, caused a drop in GDP, an increase in unemployment, a drop in international trade, and an increase in bank risks. However, the current crisis is characterized by the following differential factors with respect to previous crises. 1. The crisis was more global than the previous one, as no country escaped it. 2. The crisis was both one of supply and of demand. 3. Economic growth rates fluctuate throughout the year due to successive waves of the pandemic. That reflects the fact that it was a health crisis as well as an economic one. Each new wave of the pandemic led to further falls in GDP and unemployment. And lastly, transport, leisure, tourism, hospitality and raw materials, mostly oil and gas, were most affected, although the crisis negatively hit almost all sectors. First, when a firm is locked down, its suppliers and customer firms are affected because of a lack of demand and supply, respectively. Therefore, a region's production can improve more if prefectures lift their lockdowns together when they are closely linked through supply chains in either direction. We would see some environmental positive externalities. According to the data from the City Council of the Spanish capital, the city has considerably reduced its levels of atmospheric pollution. The data provided daily by the Madrid City Council's air quality monitoring system leaves no room for doubt, around a 73% reduction of pollution. Madrid City Council has calculated the cost of the state of emergency on the city's economy. According to their initial estimates, each day of confinement, the city generates barely 39% of its usual output, a 61% drop. This means that each day of confinement costs the city of Madrid 402 million euros. A study by the modelling team led by Imperial College London claims that containment has saved 450,000 lives. After all, in our opinion, we believe that the Community of Madrid should implement the lockdown as a last option to stop the pandemic, since the lockdown poses tremendous damage to the regional and national economy in terms of GDP and productivity.
We have considered closing bars and restaurants. First, we have made positive analysis, and we can say that the economic effects will be highly negative. In the work market, there will be a reduction in demand. Then the losers will be mainly the employees of these restaurants, waiters, cookers. But controlling the cases of COVID through this is worth. If we see the normative analysis, the benefits are the decrease of cases per day and thus the reduction of deaths, and the hospitals will be less busy. But there are very important costs. There will be a drop in the GDP, a lot of people will not work due to this, although they want to do it, and then the government will have to pay them something, and to end, the customers will be deprived of these services. Taking this information into account, we think that this measure it must not be carried out.
As we now turn our focus into travel restrictions, a measure that has been implemented with more or less severity throughout this pandemic over the last 2 years or so, as we now see on the screen, some of the key factors that should be taken into account in order to make a rational decision on whether to implement these restrictions or not. If we turn our focus to some of the areas that would be affected the most, it is the health industry, the one that would benefit the most from these measures being implemented, as it will lower the risk of another potential outburst like the ones that have caused so much trouble in the past few months. And on the other hand, it is the tourism area, the one that would be affected negatively the most. We know how important it is in so many economies nowadays. Lastly, I do believe there has to be some balance that has to be found. There are some aspects that could be used to determine the severity of these restrictions. The vaccination status of people traveling, the places where they come from, where people are going, both should be taken into account, and the safety of those places. and also the importance of some of those travelings, whether it's business intention or tourism intention, whatever the case may be, have to be taken into account.
So we think that one of the ways of finding viruses in earlier stages, which is one of the ways of stopping the propagation of COVID, is doing huge amounts of periodic tests to populations. That way you will find the virus in earlier stages. This has lots of positive effects, which are, as I had already said, to find the virus in earlier stages so you can go to your house and do not propagate the virus. And also it's the best and only way of finding asymptomatic cases. But this has also some negative effects, which is really expensive to do periodically, which is the only way that it will be effective, and someone has to pay it. Either the individuals or through taxes that individuals pay, which will make economy go down. We can also say that we could have shortage of tests because we would need so much tests to do, and that's what we think about doing huge amount of periodic tests to the population.
Now let's talk about the face mask. Some benefit of using face masks could be that it will protect other people. The main way that coronavirus is spread is from person to person through respiratory droplets that are produced when the infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. They act as a barrier to prevent particles containing the virus from escaping from an infected person and landing on another person. Also, you may not realize you are contagious. Some studies have found that more than 40% of people with coronavirus infections have never developed COVID-19 symptoms. This makes it very difficult to detect who is possible transmitter of the virus. Also, face masks may help in economic recovery. Masks could also benefit the economy. A national mandate requiring the use of face masks could replace emergency shutdowns, which would otherwise result in a decline of almost 5% of the GDP. Now, the use of the face masks. The following standard for the use of the face mask should be followed. If you are 2 years old or older and you have not yet completed your COVID-19 vaccine schedule, it will be mandatory to wear a face mask in enclosed public spaces. If you are current on your COVID-19 vaccinations, it will be not mandatory, but to maximize protection and prevent the possibility of spreading COVID-19 to others, it will be very helpful if they wear a face mask in enclosed public spaces. Generally speaking, the use of face masks outdoors it will not be necessary. Therefore, Mr. President, this will be all regarding the use of face masks. And, in my opinion, I believe that with the use of face masks, the cases of hospitalizations will reduce.
That's all. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you have any other comments or any other proposals, ideas, then feel free to comment them to us afterwards.